All right, let's get started. Hello to everyone in the audience, and a big thanks and hello to Nicola on the call with me. I'll be your host today. My name is Melinda. I'm a product manager here at CoderPad. First, thank you so much for taking your time out to join us. We know that everyone's super busy. We'll be talking about CoderPad Screen, which you now have access to as part of your CoderPad plans. My hope is that you take away from this webinar, one, a better understanding of what CoderPad Screen is, two, how you can easily get started sending out your first tests, and then three, if you do have any questions, that you'll get some answers coming out of this as well. As you can see here, after this lovely introduction, we'll meet Nicola, who will give you a high-level overview of CoderPad Screen, and then guide us along this click-along to show you how to send out your first test. And then, of course, we'll move into the live Q&A session. So at this point in time, I just encourage you, if you're following along, to sign into your CoderPad accounts, which again, you should have access to the screen product, so you can get ready to click along with us shortly. Of note, you'll receive a recording after the webinar. So if you want to go through the steps again and review, you'll have an opportunity to do that. Don't feel any pressure at this point in time. All right. Well, without further ado, let me introduce you to Nicola. Nicola, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. Basically, the French equivalent of Melinda. So I'm product manager here at CoderPad, specialized in the screen product, and I'm here to help you make the best use of the product and answer any question you have.
Thank you so much, Nicola, for being here. It's a little later where Nicola is in the world, so really excited and happy that you're here. And now that we're all acquainted, let's talk a little about CoderPad. Nicola, to just get the ball rolling, would you mind giving us that high-level overview I talked about?
Let's go to it. So basically, CoderPad Screen is really the first step in the CoderPad process. It will allow you, like technical and non-technical people alike, to gain some valuable insights about candidate skills. And based on this information, you will be able to take a decision. And probably this decision will be, do I move this candidate forward in the interview process with a live interview? So there is some key components to the product. These are being displayed here. At its very core, Screen gives you access to an extensive question bank that you can use and leverage to create and customize technical tests. Once you have built those tests, you will be able to send invitation to the candidates. We will gain access to a dedicated environment. And at the end of the day, when candidates have finished the test, you will receive some reports. And those reports will give you, again, insights about what are the skills of these candidates. So that's Screen in a nutshell. It is the first step of the interview process, and it's designed to be a very quick and efficient way to gain insights.
So thank you so much. And spot on. Part of the beauty in our screen product is really the flexibility. You can highly customize tests as you need to, or use it right out of the box. And we're going to show a little bit about that. Nicola, would you please show us, if you were, for example, an engineering hiring manager, or what is also often the case, a talent acquisition recruiting coordinator, someone who might be able to set up a test in under 2 minutes, and might ask you some questions, so it might go a little bit longer.
Sure. So it all starts here. So you are on your regular CoderPad account. You should not see that you have a product switcher over there. If you click on it, you will be able to navigate and explore Screen. So let's get in it. This is the Screen dashboard. Here I have a few tests that I've already created. I'll show you how easy it is to create new ones. So let's get started. Let's click Create New Test. And from there, the question that I will need to answer is, for which profile do I want to this test to be used? So let's assume right now I'm recruiting for a React role. So I will just type React. Let's say I want to test for a senior full stack Java and React person. So here I've got some skills pre-populated for me. And then I will need to select the required experience. So for this purpose, senior is just fine for me.
Nicolas, do you describe, because we get this question a lot, what does the changing between junior, senior, expert actually do? What does it mean?
Yeah, sure. So basically this setting, it allows to determine when the test is generated, what is the proportion of easy, medium, and hard questions that will get included in your test. So if you select junior, you will have more easy questions. If you select expert, you will have more harder questions. And by easy, medium, and hard, what we mean is we look at the question success rate to determine like for which profile this this question is best suited. So that's what it means. It basically changes the proportion of easy, medium, hard questions.
Cool, thank you.
Let's create a test. Let's proceed. When I click create a test, it will, take a question bank and generate a test for me. Here I have a good overview of what the test is like. I will have, the number of questions that is being included. I will have the question type that will be included, some quiz, some coding exercises, the total duration, and also the breakdown by domain. So for each domain, I would be able to see exactly the same, the number of questions, the duration, the number of points, and so on. And your test is ready from there. So you can really either use the test as is, like send it to a candidate. And if you don't have a candidate, you can send it to yourself, to a colleague, or just preview the candidate experience. Or let's say if you want to customize a bit further, you will be able to click here, customize, which will give you some insight about what's being included in the test. So we'll see the questions that have been populated. Here I will have like React questions. I will have some React exercises, the same for SQL and the same for Java. So I will have a series of questions, both quiz and coding exercises.
So just
at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nicolas. I just want to remind the audience. So to see the questions or preview them, you hit customize on the previous screen, and that's how you got here. Awesome.
Yeah. Here is the test I've created, and you have a question tab that give you really the content of your test. And from there, I can really do whatever I want in terms of customization or exploration. I can check, okay, what are the questions being included over there? I have those few. I can click on them to preview them to understand what is being asked to the candidates. And I can also, like if I want some add questions, so I can say, okay, I like, for example, this exercise, I really like it. So I will be able to preview it and just drag and dropping into the test. So that's the way you will, customize the test. And now let's look at, some of our exercises and what it looks like for the candidate experience. So here I've launched a game, which is one format that we propose. Games are defined by this ability to interact with your code programmatically with the viewer over there. So candidates will start with these viewers, they will have a statement over there. They will have the codes that need to be implemented here, and some test cases to make sure the code is running as expected. And what you will see is like as I launch those test cases, it will run my code and also adjust the viewer to match what I'm typing. In this specific exercise, for example, I need to find the compromised server. So I need to return a location. here I've written this location is the incorrect one. But you can see that the way it works, like I will build my solution to return the correct output. And as I do so, the test case will get green and I can move forward with another test case and so on. So that's about the candidate experience. Yeah.
There we go. I'm on a slight delay for unmuting here. Awesome. Thank you so much. And obviously, because we're going through this demo, we do want to show kind of the fullest understanding of the screen product. Nicola, I think we have a demo account that you might be able to show, our demo test, to show what it looks like after you have some candidates who've submitted tests. Could we take a look at what those look like, the completed assessments?
Sure, let's do it. So I've created my test. We've seen like what to see all the content of the test, and now let's see once I've invited candidates and candidates have actually completed the test, what it looks like in terms of reporting. So let's use this demo campaign for that purpose. So here I am. I have invited 7 candidates, and from this page, the candidates tab, you will gain access to several layers of reporting and several layers of insight as well. This is the first layer. It's the candidate page. It's basically give you some basic information about the candidate's performance, like the scores, the test duration. From there, it much depends on the way you want to analyze those skills. Some of our customers, they define a score threshold under which they will not pursue with the candidates for the next step of the interview. So that's one use case. Filter and sort by score and determine whether you want to analyze deeper or stop analyzing the candidate's performance. So that's the first layer. If you want to learn more about the candidates, you can click on a line. It will put some additional information on this page that we call the simplified report. It gives you some, so the score again, it gives you the point score, it gives you the rank, it gives you the breakdown by skill and sub-skill. So it's, like deep diving a bit further. And then if you go down, you will see some history. So this way you will be able to check when the candidate started the test and from where. The location also can be important. So that's the second level. And if at this point you still want to learn more about the candidates, it's probably a good thing. You can click over there on the detailed report, which is the last layer of analysis. And here what you will see is like question by question, what's the candidate answer? So it's very good for, like multiple choice, but it's most interesting for coding exercises where you will be presented with what we call the code playback. And the code playback will give you exactly what it says. So it's really like a deep dive into what's the candidate's code, how they code. So it's really interesting for learning about not only is the solution correct, because you can see it on the score, but also how do the candidates come up with the solution? Did they leave the ID? Did they copy some external code? You will have some alerts in the code playback. And how do they write code? Like what's their methodology? What's their coding style? So everything like linked to those insights, you can, learn that from the code playback. It's definitely a feature that our customer love and find extremely useful because it's it kinds of balance out, the asynchronous nature of the test. It gives you some, I would say, interview-like insights about the candidates. And once you are confident about your decision to move the candidate forward or not, you can, express your decision with those status, putting the candidate in a rejected or passed state. You can also like leave additional comments for your for easier collaboration with the team, and also add tags, for example. So this is really like taking notes and sharing your decision with the whole team.
And totally agree with you. These are some of the deeper details and power behind CoderPad Screen, but 100% we hear about all the time that people love the code playback. We get that a lot, and both for our screen and interview product in those cases. Awesome. Thank you, Nicola. You're not off the hook yet, but I did want to take a moment in our agenda to give you all in the audience a little bit of time to collect your thoughts. Hopefully you've been clicking around with us. Start considering like what questions you have for us and drop them into the Q&A. Oh, and I see a question that looks like it came through chat. Does the pass button, if pressed, inform directly to the candidate? Great question. Nicola, do you want to
yeah, sure. So right now it's really for you. There's no automatic, email sent to the candidates. It's really like, imagine you have like this test with 100 candidates. It allows for easy filtering. So I know that, okay, I only have 2 candidates to review. If I can check back the candidates that I've already accepted, I can do it very easily. So it's just for easy collaboration and easy, referencing, easy finding the candidates that you need to find. But there's no actions linked to candidates' communication tied to those buttons. It's really for you.
Yep, perfect. So if we get some more questions, I know, again, thanks Rachel off camera for helping us man the Q&A. We'll buy some folks a little bit of time. And yes, that's correct, Kathy. So it's mostly for internal purposes in terms of keeping track of candidates among if you have many per role. So let's share a best practice. And I think we talk about this a lot whenever we join customers on their calls. Something that we've seen work really well is for great collaboration between TAs or talent acquisition teams and the hiring managers. Together, you can really create some powerful tests quickly and independently, but we do recommend having that like initial conversation between the two groups so that way you can align on some really important aspects, like how long do you want people to take, that is your candidates, to complete an assessment? If, just like we saw, if you want to use the statuses, what is our pass-fail threshold? Can we look at particular critical skills versus nice to have skills? And so how would we make sure that we are moving people along? Nicola, would you mind kind of showing at least the first bit of that regarding how to make a test longer or shorter in discussion?
Yeah, sure. And maybe once, because I'm already on this screen, I can explain like this, percentage. I think it's a common question that we have and that you're probably wondering. This one is what we call like the comparative score, which is different from the point score you see over there. The point score is exactly what it says. So it's just the number of points the candidates got over the total number of points. So that's pretty straightforward. The comparative score is basically a percentile. So it's based on a simulation we perform with all the candidates that took a similar test. And the idea is to get some sense of how good the point score is depending on the test difficulty. Because 79% doesn't tell you much if you don't know the test difficulty, right? If it's a very easy test, maybe 79% is not that great. If it's a very hard test, maybe it's a very good score. So the comparative score, it takes into account the difficulty of the test to give you insights about, based on this test, based on its difficulty and the candidate's performance, where does this candidate stand against other comparable candidates? So that's really what it shows. So here we'll have a distribution of the score that is displayed with this small graph, and we will place the candidates in this distribution to see how far left or far right this candidate is in terms of distribution. And yeah, so to your question, Melinda, for the test duration, let's go back. Yeah, in this one, for example. So here you see I have one exercise. It lasts 2 hours. 2 hours, as put in red, it's very long. One easy thing I can do to decrease the duration of the test is really like maybe I assume that this exercise can be completed with a much shorter duration, so I can just update the duration for candidates to 1 hour. I can also, like, if I had like a lot of questions in my test, I will also be able like to remove some of them. So to decide, okay, here like between 46 and 92 is a bit too much. Let's get rid of this one. And this one, maybe I have a game, an exercise, and a few multiple choice questions that would be, fine. So that's really as easy as it seems to really drag and dropping questions. And since I'm here, I also want to talk about like this button. What does it do? What is it here for? Because it's also linked to duration. When you create a test, you can have either a static version of the test, meaning that each candidate will have this, like all candidates will have the same question. They will all have panic in the server room question, which is the game we just discovered together. They will all have the samples question, or the abstract class, or the final method, and so on. So that's, the static way is pretty straightforward. Now, if I want to randomize this test, I can, add random block, just do it this way. Here, what I would get is random blocks, which means set of random questions. And what is about is really what it's being displayed. I will have 10 minutes of quiz on Java, which will amount to around 17 questions. And then I will have around 1 hour of coding exercises on Java. And it will, take around 4 coding exercises. So from there, if I have random blocks and I want to adjust the duration, I can just click on a block. Here I have the list of questions that will be randomly selected from. So I would get like around 4 questions within this list. And by the way, I can, decide to exclude or include questions if I want. And then I have a button. If I click on edit criteria, I will be able to set the duration. So maybe, 1 hour of coding exercise, maybe too long. Maybe I put 30 minutes or 45 minutes and so on. So that's really the way it works about duration. Either you have a static version and you can, easily drag and drop, or you have a randomized version and you can adjust the duration of those random blocks. And at this point, you may be wondering, like, why should I use random block at all? It's very specific use case. It's often linked to large scale hiring campaigns. Let's say you have a lot of candidates and you want to minimize the risk of 2 candidates giving each other the answers. Using random blocks would be a good way because each candidate we have a unique version of the test. So it can be used in this regard, really for cheating prevention purposes.
So, Nicola, we definitely have folks who use the random blocks and who will go through our question bank and like pull out specific questions. But we also often get some customers who have been comfortable or have vetted some of their own questions internally. Now, could you show us how you might import some custom questions?
Yeah, sure. And when I was saying, random versus static, I mean, you can do a combination of both. I mean, you can have one random block, one static question. You can, really do a lot of combination.
Yep.
And in those questions, you can also, take the questions that CoderPad Screen provides, but also your own question. So let's see what it looks like when we create a question. Maybe I will save this. So I'll go to the question editor. Okay. I have no question yet. Okay, so let's create my first question. Here you see that I will have several types of questions. So multiple choice question, it speaks for itself. Text is open text questions, where you expect the candidate to write something. It's pretty straightforward. These two are coding exercises. This one is the most frequent one, project exercise. I will not go into much details, but yeah. So programming exercise, then we need to pick a language. Here, I want to mention that there is really two different types. Either you have a specific language in mind and you want to test for it. Let's say I want to test Python. I create an exercise in Python, which is the first coding exercise format that we provide. Here we'll have a few settings. So we'll have the title, the instructions that will be visible to the candidates, a few settings about the difficulty, duration, and so on. And then it's about the code component, the code that the candidate will start from, the code that the candidate will use to test the implementation of the function. So in this case, I will, test it again, a very simple data set. And then the code that our system will use to validate the answer. So again, like for each of these, we provide you, like example default templates that you can use and leverage. Here's a very simple implementation where you just need to find the maximum of an array of numbers. But you can see how it works about the validation. So it's really writing some code. It's very flexible. It's very powerful. And you can, be very granular in what you test. You can, assign points for specific implementation details, award other point for other implementation details, and so on and so on. So you can really test for reliability, the problem-solving skills, the language knowledge of the candidate, and so on. So that's the first type of, coding exercise that you can create. The second type,
just while you're on it, it looks like somebody asked a relevant question to what you're showing right now. Is there an option to upload data necessary to execute and test custom code?
There is a way, like if I understand the question correctly, is like, is it possible to attach some data to my questions so that the candidate can use? Is that did I understand correctly?
Yes, looks like the answer is yes from the
first one. So you can use this one, external dependency. Here is a few details about how to upload them. Basically, you will upload the zip, which can contain several things. It can contain data for the candidate to use. It can contain specific code that, again, the function of the candidate will be able to reuse in the code. So that's basically a way to, get the candidate started. You can either provide some implementation in the starter code, but you could also, test for, and in Python is a good example. Like you could really test for the candidate's ability to search for a file, parse the file, extract some data within the file. So you can do like this type of exercise, more data science oriented, with this external dependency function.
I was also going to say, if you are having some difficulties, please reach out to us in our support team. We are very close to our customers. So our customer support basically directly reaches out to the product team and engineering team to help answer questions. And I realized in chat, I've been responding to some questions that we've seen, but it looks like they've been going to a sort of a chat black hole. So let me get back real quickly to a question that I saw earlier from Molly. Do I use a test instead of a pad? So I'll read my answer because I actually typed it out, but unfortunately, you all cannot see it. It really depends on what and how you want to assess your candidates. If you're looking for an asynchronous solution, that can be auto-graded, and as you've just seen from Nicolas, you can use a combination of random questions, specific questions from our bank, or your custom questions. If you're looking to do that, then Screen might be the better fit. And what we see most often is that customers will use Screen earlier in the funnel when they have a larger pool of candidates, or they want to take advantage again of the our extension question bank. to start to get to assessing a smaller set of candidates through live coding interviews. So you kind of see that. Oh, perfect. Thanks. That's a great tee up, Nicola, for the funnel and the process. So I think the question was, do you use a test instead of a pad? You can, if that's how you want to. We often see, again, that the two products are used in conjunction with each other. I think I saw another question specific to adding the external dependencies. So if you wanted to add data, if you want to go back to that real quickly, can you upload the external library for the candidate to use, e.g. Node.js library?
So regarding like libraries, we have some already included. You cannot dynamically add a full library. We do have a few. So the first step will be, checking on, and we have a page on our documentations, at least every environment, what's the version that Java is running on, what are the libraries that gets included with it. So that would be the first step to check if it's already existing. But yeah, external dependencies like for smaller, data sets or for a smaller implementation logic, but not like full library. There is one exception with Node.js, but it's a bit complicated to implement, like if you don't know it. But yeah, most of the time we provide libraries, and if needed, we add them on our side, so you can candidates can leverage them, and all candidates can leverage them.
I was just about to say the same thing. If you're seeing things or requests, we get a lot of language and specific version requests as well. So again, definitely take advantage of reaching out to our support team. Another question came in, is screen meant only for, and perhaps, Nicola, maybe we can switch over to Q&A and we'll flip back into screen share if helpful. And this way.
So do you want me to share the other slide?
I think we can just stop screen share for a second until we have a question. Is screen meant for offline async tests, or does it also allow live view as they code during video interviews? Okay, so no worries. So if I can like rephrase your question, is screen only for offline async tests, or can it also do live interviews? So as I kind of mentioned at the top of the call or this webinar, basically with our CoderPad plan, you have access to both products. Screen, which is primarily used for async, and also our live interview pads meant for live coding use. What Nicolas showed earlier with the code playback gives you that same feeling in terms of being able to see recorded live code as people typed. However, it is not meant for, let's say, a video call at the same time. Hopefully that answered your question. All right, and great, thank you. Thanks, Swami. I'm going to pause to see if our wizard behind the curtain, Rachel, has any questions for us. If not, all right, it looks like we have a little bit more time for another question. Let's see. We talked about the question bank and also randomized questions. Oh, here's a popular question that we get. What test customization options are there? And Nicola, do you want to share maybe either in the creation of a test what the customization options are? And I'm thinking about, you already shared a lot about the questions, but the test invite, our timer, and the expiry.
I was mute. Do you see my screen okay?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, cool. So in terms of content, you saw like you can, customize the question that are included, the duration, the randomization, the difficulty, the skills that are being tested. You can adjust the points. You can adjust pretty much everything, especially if you're adding custom questions. In terms of invitation, you will be able to customize invitation mode. Like, or do you want to invite them? Do you want to invite them individually by email? Do you want to invite them through a public link that would be shared to candidates? Could be shared on your website. So the access method, let's say, of the invitation part. You can customize wording. So the wording that candidates would see, like in the email, in the invitation email, you can customize the welcome screen that they will see. So really a lot of wording, to give specific instructions, and to clarify the your expectations regarding the test. In terms of invitation, you can also customize the expiration date. So a lot of things, and then a lot of customization is about the candidate experience. Which language do I allow them to use? Not only programming language, but also natural language, English, French, or Spanish, because our question bank is translated in the free. You can customize, copy pasting ability. If you're afraid of cheating, you can customize the timer. Would it be a timer by question? And each question would be in a predefined sequence? Or do I use a global timer and I give, 70 minutes to the candidates, but I don't care if they start with question 1, then go back to question 3, and so on and so on. So that will be, a lot of customization options around the candidate experience, really the core of it.
Thank you. Yeah, we get that question a lot, particularly about the timing and length duration of tests. I think it looks like we are done for questions. Again, if you think of any more questions, please reach out to us later. I think we're good for the screen share. Thank you again so much, Nicolas, for joining, and for the audience. Thank you all. I believe we got to all the questions, but if we miss anything, please email us and we'll circle back. Again, this recording will be sent out later. So if you want to review what we went through, that is using CoderPad Screen as part of your hiring funnel, and likely before your CoderPad interview, how to set up and make customizations to send out CoderPad Screen tests, and also even how to review your candidate results, please take a look at the recording later. We do run webinars, host panels, field discussions on a semi-regular basis. So if you want to sign up for that and you have interest, please sign up for our emails to learn more. And I think with that, just got a last question, but we'll circle back at the end. Have a great night or day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.